Welcome to the Nutrition Collaborative podcast, where we cut through the noise, bust the myths, and bring you nothing but truth about health, fitness, and everything in between. I'm Alec Moore, dietitian, and each week we'll dive into what really works when it comes to achieving lasting health and fitness. No gimmicks, no BS, just real talk, real success stories, and a holistic approach to living your healthiest life. Whether you're here for practical tips, inspiration from real client journeys, or just to find out what's actually worth your time, this is the podcast for you. Let's break it down, get empowered, and focus on what truly matters for your health. All right, let's go ahead and end the debate. If you have been on social media at all in the last 5 years, you've probably come across seed oils. Why is everyone talking about seed oils? It's one of probably the most debated topics in the health, fitness, nutrition industry. There's a huge wave on social media demonizing these seed oils. Are they harmful? Are they toxic? Am I supposed to be avoiding them? Well, Paul Saladino is the biggest advocate for the debate against seed oils. If you've ever watched any of his videos, you'll fully understand. Buckle up, because we're going to break down the truth and what the latest research tells us about seed oils. So we're not going to be demonizing any foods today, because this is a dietitian's podcast. And so we're going to base everything off of facts, not fear. Because science always wins fear-based clickbait. And stick around, because there's one surprising fact about seed oils that I almost guarantee that you haven't heard before. So it might change the way that you think about seed oils and how you consume them. So let's go ahead and start with the basics. For those who aren't very familiar with seed oils, like, what is a seed oil? Well, think of, you have your coconut oil, you have your olive oil, you have your avocado oil, but then you have your seed oils. So those are not seed oils. Seed oils are, think of canola as a very, very big one, probably the biggest, soybean, sunflower, and safflower. And they are high in polyunsaturated fats, specifically ones like linoleic acid, which is an omega-6 fatty acid, which you're probably very familiar by now with omega-3 fatty acids, but these are going to be high in the omega-6 fatty acids. And the narrative that you've probably heard is that omega-6s are inflammatory or pro-inflammatory, and that consumption of omega-6s throw off your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Individuals who are demonizing seed oils constantly, putting them on blast constantly, fearing them, forcing you to fear them, believe that it's the root cause of heart disease and gut issues and metabolic syndrome, you name it. They're blaming seed oils. Now, again, this is a dietitian's podcast. Please remember that. So if you are unaware of what a dietitian's perspective would be on something like this, we as dietitians are never going to demonize one food, no matter what that food is. Even alcohol, one of the most toxic things you can ingest that's available to you on the market. I'm not saying just drinking gasoline or oil. Of course, that would be a little bit more toxic, but from a widely consumed, celebrated list of potential toxins, right, or toxic things to ingest, we're never going to demonize, even if it's that one thing, because everything is balance. Everything comes down to moderation. As boring as that sounds, it's not clickbait. It's not good enough to be clickbait. So being balanced isn't going to make you famous. Unfortunately, it's not going to get you the trendy followers on Instagram. Unfortunately, that's just not how it's going to happen. You have to come up with these cherry-picked items and fear them, like induce fear down people's throats about them, demonizing. But as dietitians, we are not here to do that. So I have my opinions as a individual, but I also have my opinions as a practitioner and a dietitian. And while we're going to dive into some of the research, but while I'm not sitting here saying that you should go consume a bunch of seed oils all the time, we don't need to be demonizing one particular food or food item or category of foods, because at the end of the day, it doesn't come down to the one food that you ate or the one drink that you drank. Like that doesn't matter in the grand scheme. Who cares? You had it once, you had it twice, you had it here, you had it there. You're going to live a long life. So it's all about patterns. And again, that's not clickbaity. That's so boring, but it's all about eating patterns. And if you're eating a lot of seed oils in conjunction with low protein intake, high saturated fat intake, high added sugar intake, highly ultra processed, not getting a lot of activity. And again, that's all patterns though. So if you eat one chip that's cooked in seed oils, you're probably going to be okay. But if you listen to Paul Saladino, it is the end of the world if you even get in the same room as seed oils, which is an embarrassing perspective from someone level of following. Millions of people follow this guy. It's all about patterns, okay? We're not here to say you can't have this one particular food ever, or this one particular type of food ever, or that this one thing is what develops chronic disease. This one thing is what wrecks your gut for the rest of your life. It's not just the one thing. What about all the stress? Chronic stress is more toxic for you than seed oils, okay? Let's go ahead and let's have some fun here. Let's look at the research, okay? I've got a couple studies pulled up that I'd really like to, we're not going to go super in depth with them, but I want to recap them at least. And there are some very minor amounts of studies supporting the other claim, or the Paul Saladino's case on they're inflammatory, this, that, and the third. But there's a lot more research and more recent research showing us that it's not the polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are the good fats. Keep in mind, mono and polyunsaturated fats are the healthy fats. Saturated fats are the issue. And we've proven that time and time again in the last 5 to 10 years. Saturated fats are the reason, or the buildup for atherosclerotic plaque. They're the reason, they are one of the leading causes of the development of heart disease, the development of obesity, stroke, anything cardiovascular. Saturated fats are going to be a significant issue, not the omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids. A 2025 systematic review, and I have the PubMed IDs, okay, on all of these. I'm not making any of this stuff up. This is factual. This 2025 systematic review looked at seed oils in people with diabetes and dyslipidemia. Dyslipidemia meaning, low HDL, good cholesterol, and high LDL, total cholesterol, bad cholesterol, and found that they actually improved their lipid profiles, supported blood sugar regulation, and even reduced oxidative stress markers. So everything that Paul Saladino and his guru fandom on seed oils, they literally say that it ruins your lipid profiles, completely skews it, and that it places a huge burden on inflammatory markers and inflammation throughout the body. And this is proving the exact opposite. And these are big studies, by the way. These are big a large amount of participants within these studies. That's something you really want to look at when looking at quality research, is the type of study that it is and the participant. If it's 10 participants and it lasted 6 weeks, it's probably not worth really taking a lot of info from. Another one, all right, this is over 6,400 participants. Found that increasing omega-6 fats might reduce heart attack risk and lower cholesterol, and had little effect on overall mortality. Here's another one, 2025 narrative review, specifically looked at seed oils and chronic disease and concluded that, in quotes, replacing saturated fats with unsaturated fats from seed oils aligns with dietary guidelines and does not support claims that seed oils are harmful. When it comes to heart health and also, inflammation too, the evidence supports seed oils as a part of a healthy diet and healthy eating patterns. Again, if you are making up your diet of only omega-6s and only these seed oils and no other healthy fat sources, no other nutritious sources with ultra processed foods, high sugar foods, then sure, you're going to have some issues, but it's not from the seed oils. That's just one piece of the 1,000-piece puzzle. Okay, so that's mostly talking about lipids and cholesterol levels and a little bit of inflammation. But what about the inflammation piece more specifically. This is where things get interesting. Okay. This is where I would say that their debate, seed oil haters, if you will, they're claiming that they're inflammatory. But in 2018, PubMed ID that I have for you found that higher omega-6 intake does not increase markers of inflammation in humans. That's your sedimentary or estimated sedimentation rate and CRP, C-reactive protein. Both inflammatory markers, both not impacted. In fact, replacing again saturated fats with seed oils may reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. So if you're worried that your avocado oil or canola oil is inflammatory, the science just does not support it. Okay. However, I'm not here to put seed oils up on this pedestal and say that they're this great food or anything like that. I'm really not. In fact, on the contrary here, some animal studies have raised concerns. So there was one mouse study, and I don't know what year this was, but I do have the PMID for this as well. But one mouse study suggests that high omega-6 intake could worsen gut inflammation during infection. So really, that tells us nothing. But I have to, obviously, I can't just give you all the supporting evidence and none of the evidence against it. But that's really not that strong of evidence, but it is something to at least note in a healthy debate. Another in vitro study here found that arachidonic acid, right, a downstream product of omega-6s, may increase lung inflammation in certain cell types. Lung inflammation, not the inflammation that Paul Saladino is talking about. Systemic inflammation, chronic inflammation. And another point I'd like to make, because both of those were animal studies, they don't always translate to humans. We know that. We must know that. So it's really valuable to understand like mechanisms and things like that, but it does not directly translate. So as a dietitian, right, like the drizzle of canola oil when in cooking 3 times a week or whatever is not, this podcast is being released in 2025. If more research comes out on this, then I will update y'all for sure and update my own opinions as well. As dietitians, that's what we do. We stay up to date with things. And the key here is balance. It's so boring to hear that. I know it is, but you do not need to sit here and fear. That stress from fear is going to be more toxic than friggin' seed oils. You need to have a healthy omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. What that means is a healthy ratio of seed oils to other fatty oils. You need to have good blood sugar control, not just from seed oils and fats and stuff like that, just in general, because it's all patterns with your lifestyle, patterns with your activity, patterns with the food that you consume, patterns with the food that you don't consume. So if you are active, eating a moderate to high protein intake, you don't abuse high sugar food items, you have a good balance there, you weight train and you're working on muscle mass, lean tissue mass preservation, you get blood work twice a year, you keep your health in check, you keep your lipids in check, you keep your fiber consistent, your fiber intake, good activity each week, not just for muscle building, but also cardiovascular endurance, walking, steps, you won't have to worry about seed oils. Okay. Now, I would say this, if you are already at risk of inflammatory issues, already at risk for blood sugar issues, already at risk for inflammatory issues, like maybe you have autoimmune, then maybe seed oils might not be the best for you. Maybe you need to really, really strategize a way for yourself to consume an anti-inflammatory, but at the same time, you don't need to fear the seed oils. So here's why I think seed oils get a bad rap from people like Paul. Well, one, they're misinformed, first off, but we're going to skip past that. I think the debate the debate against seed oils, right? What are seed oils commonly found in? A lot of ultra processed foods. They're cheaper. Commonly, most restaurants use them. And so I think that if you follow an ultra processed diet and if you commonly eat out at restaurants, then you are more at risk of exposure to them. But going back to what I just said, it's not about just having the seed oils here and there. It's the patterns. So if you're active, living a healthy lifestyle with variety in your diet, balance in your diet, then seed oils in moderation are absolutely okay. And again, this is a dietitian's take. You're going to hear a million different takes on seed oils. A million. And you're going to continue to hear them. But as of right now, with the most recent research that we have, it's okay to eat them in moderation, just like any other food. So the point of this episode is not to glorify seed oils, but it's to stop demonizing them, just like any other one food item. I myself do not drink alcohol, but if somebody wants to drink alcohol and they work with me, at the end of the day, if they do it in a balanced manner and they have control over it and they live a healthy lifestyle outside of that, life's short, baby. Life is short. So if every time you walk into a restaurant, you're in panic mode because you're fearful that the seed oils are going to get you, that stress every time you walk into a restaurant over the seed oils is literally going to kill you before the seed oils do. Living in fear, living in anxiety, living in stress around certain foods and demonized foods, as you walk through the grocery store every day, as you walk through restaurants every day, as you walk through society every day, you're going to lose your mind. And that alone is going to drive inflammation chronically. Far worse than a few seed oils. Now, we can't talk about liquid fats and not talk about calories. All right. So we're going to do that right now. Obviously, if you consume way too many liquid fats from any source, it's not good for your metabolism. It's not good for your body weight. It's not good for your arteries. But that's just like anything. It's not just the fat. If you overconsume any food, it's not going to be good. So why are we demonizing one food? That's the dietitian's take on seed oils. So I hope that this helped share a little bit of perspective with all the craziness out there on social media right now regarding seed oils. Again, I am not advocating for it. I'm not advocating against it. I'm advocating for everyone to stop demonizing one individual food item and have a balanced, healthy diet, intake, activity, life, you name it. So I hope this helps. Thanks for tuning in, y'all.